another episode of Thinking That Matters. I'm Elizabeth Mahusai, your podcast host, and I am thrilled to be able to introduce you today to my new friend and fellow Leadership McKinney member, D'Anna Paty. D'Anna, tell us a little bit about you, your journey to where you are now, to give us context for our conversation today.
Okay, so thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My name is D'Anna Paty. I'm with Valliance Bank. We are a commercial community bank here in McKinney. I'm the client relationship manager there. So I work on business development and being out in the community and portfolio management. So I got into banking at a young age at 18. So I've been in there for 17 years. And getting into community banking has helped me get into the community. So I'm involved in a few nonprofits around the area and things like that. So
I love it. So, I mean, the fact that you've been in banking, really, this has been your entire career,
yes,
correct?
My whole life, yeah.
Okay, I just want to say, fun fact, that when I was going to college, there was a season where I worked as a peak time teller.
Okay.
And so I was in the bank for a little bit, and I love it. I love that
Yes.
that bank atmosphere. So the fact that it's been your full career is amazing. So what are you passionate about? Because the fact that you've been with the bank for 17 years says something. So
Yes.
tell us about your passion. What fuels you to continue?
Well, to continue, it's my daughter. So I had a kid at 18. So that's what got me into banking. I said, hey, a bank would be fun and looks like a good career as a single mom. So that's what got me in there and what kept me going for many years. So I was at a bank that was great company, but we didn't have the community involvement. So that was just my focus to keep me going was her. And then when I moved to community banking, then I got to be a part of the community. So that fueled me to keep going and to stay where I'm at and get more involved and do more things. So she was the start of it. She still is part of it, but now it's just a different journey.
That's amazing. So you had your daughter. What's your daughter's name?
Emma.
Emma. Oh, I
Yes.
love it. So you had your daughter at 18.
Yes, ma'am.
And so that means she's how old?
17. She'll be 18 in January.
So is she a senior
She's
in
a
high
senior.
school?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Wow. Are you
Yes.
asking yourself, where did time go?
Yes, every day.
Oh my word. That's amazing. So you know what, if we may, let's start there. I mean,
Okay.
having my best friend in high school had her first daughter at 18.
Okay.
So, and I know it was very difficult for her.
Yes.
Now we're older and, maybe different challenges. But when you think about how that changed your life, like when you look back, what were some of the challenges that came from that becoming your reality at that age?
There are so many changes. I mean, I was very independent as a teenager, so I lived with my brother since I was 16, and I have a very big family. There's 13 kids altogether.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'm one of the oldest. So I've always had that responsibility to care for other people. And so as far as I worked a lot and focused on school. So I wasn't a party girl. So having a kid didn't really alter that piece of it. But I had to say, okay, my plans to try to go to college is going to change and I have to focus on working. So it just kind of changed the direction I was going in. But I already had realized I was going to be a teen statistic and I wanted to change that. I said, I got to do something with my life. So I tried to go to school while I was working, and I got a promotion to become a banker. And with that, I had to get my 663 and life and health insurance. So I put school on the back burner so I could study for that.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of worked my way up in banking. So it just kind of changed going to school, and I got into a career without needing that. So it was great.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think now, even more so than 17 years ago, there's much more of a thought process of, do I have to go to school
Right.
to have a successful career?
Right.
And, so I think that's just a question that people are having. So for the person listening, it could be a parent who has a child that's 17 that's thinking, it's going to be graduating high school. How would you respond to that in terms of the question of, do I go to college? Do I not go to college? How would you encourage the listener?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think it's becoming more normal for people to say, what's my passion? And so encouraging people to not look at what's going to make the most money or what's the least amount of school or how much are you having to pay for school. But really, as I get older and I'm figuring out where I want to be involved in my passions, trying to put that into our kids and say, what is your passion? What really stands out to you? Let's focus on making that a reality instead of just, you have to go to school. I encouraged my daughter to go to school because we live down the street from Collin College, but sometimes she says she wants to go to the military. So just go explore the world, do whatever you need to do. Whatever is passionate to you, I support it.
I like though your response there, that it's focus on the passion and then how to make that a reality.
Yeah.
Because let's say the passion is becoming a doctor. I'm just hypothetically, right? Then you find a way to fund the college, right, to get to the place where you want to be. Versus, I think oftentimes our thinking, we get into the how.
Right.
How am I going to do that? And we lose sight of the why, the motivation, the passion that would fuel us to do it.
Right.
I just think I love that you shared that. So speaking of passion, what is your passion?
My passion that's been consistent for a long time is just relationships, family, friends. We got community, working relationships. So everything in my life, I feel like, is centered around the relationships that I have. So I would say relationship is a passion for me.
So I think relationships, they're so incredibly important. And one of the things that we saw occur and even come out of the pandemic is that people recognized how important, maybe even more so, that relationships are. What have you found are some key maybe skills that you've had to develop to build strong relationships with people?
Skills I've had to develop. I've had to develop, it's funny because I don't know if this is the right thing. I love the relationships, but I lacked the people skills to go out and go and introduce myself to new people and start those relationships organically.
Okay.
Where,
and I can see that though. I mean, I'm just thinking about that in your banking role, right? Like, you need to build relationships, but you do have to have certain people skills to initiate the building of relationships.
Yes, especially when we don't have a high foot traffic location. Our bank is very small. We have 80 employees, the whole bank, 5 locations total. So we don't have a lot of foot traffic. Our term is we bring the bank to you. So we are helping clients by coming to their office or doing DocuSign, request their email. So, it's not like when I was at a bigger bank, people are walking in constantly for me to meet them and build that relationship. So I'm having to go out and put myself out there to build those relationships. And then now prospects or just even the connections that I'm making, it's me going out and having to meet these people and build those people skills.
So what I heard you say, maybe without saying, is that it wasn't easy in the beginning.
No. Oh, it wasn't easy at all, no.
So what, part of, the podcast focus is thinking that matters. And, and part of what I know just from a brain research standpoint is that thinking is connected to our, how our brain is wired. Not sometimes, always, to how our brain is wired. Let me restate that. But limiting beliefs come out of patterns of thinking that we've developed in our life. So knowing that it was hard, what would you say were some limiting beliefs that you were dealing with in this role of needing to go out and finding it to be a struggle?
Yeah. So I would say that some of the struggles that I had was I get in my own head. And I also just lack that confidence. So nothing's going to hurt to walk up to somebody and put your hand out and say, my name's D'Anna. What's your name? What do you do? It's nice to meet you. Let's grab a coffee. And so I would just be in my head about that or just, oh, they're going to turn me down. They're going to think I'm weird for coming up and talking to them. And so I've just learned to get out of the head and just jump in and nothing's going to go wrong from it.
But I appreciate you sharing the thoughts you were having when you say get in your head. That can mean different things for different people.
Mm-hmm.
So that idea of they might reject me or they're going to think I'm weird or strange.
Mm-hmm.
But you overcame it by just sticking the hand out,
yes,
right, and initiating even though you weren't sure how they would respond.
Yes.
And okay, so do you have any examples that come to mind? No pressure if you don't.
Okay.
Of where, you did that and it was awkward, or in other words, it was one of those what I call fail forward moments where you took action, but it didn't go the way that you had hoped it would go.
Gosh. I feel like that could happen all the time.
Well, we do work with people.
Yeah,
so
I could be a little weird sometimes. Just come off like a weirdo. Not a weirdo, but specific example. I don't know if I have one,
which is fine.
Sometimes I might say something and cross my words and like, oh wow, I made a really weird first impression to that person. Are they going to trust me? But then they still want to hang out, so it wasn't as weird as I thought it was.
I know. Isn't it interesting though that's an example of we get in our head.
Mm-hmm.
And I speak this as someone who came into my 30s believing that I had to have it all together.
Right.
That I had to speak well, dress well, because that's the only way people would receive me or respect me or follow me, etc. And all it got me is people thinking I was intimidating.
Right.
And so we can get in our head thinking that I have to be quote unquote perfect.
Mm-hmm. And
if I'm not perfect, then I won't be accepted.
Right.
And even you just admittedly said that sometimes you cross your words and they still want to hang out.
Yes. Exactly.
So I love that because I think there's a lot of people who listen to this podcast who struggle with that, right? They get in their own head about their things, and it's about getting out of one's head.
Right.
Now, one way that you overcome those limiting beliefs is you take action.
Yes.
Okay. Are there anything that you've learned to say to yourself to help you stay out of your head when it comes to engaging with the community?
I mean, I tell myself that, like, look how far I've come. Look how far I come. I've built so many relationships from getting out of my head and from jumping into these networking events, and I can walk into a chamber event and I know people now and they remember me and I remember them. So I just tell myself, you've come a long way. You've grown so much since starting in this position. So you're good. You got this. You're fine.
I love it. But that self-talk really matters because what we say to ourselves, can make us or break us.
Right.
So I appreciate knowing that you're utilizing strong language with yourself. Now, one of the things that you said that was a struggle early on was confidence. Mm-hmm. How did you see lack of confidence hinder you in the course of your career? Like maybe some specific ways that you saw it hinder you, and then how you've learned to overcome that lack of confidence to build confidence.
Okay, so I was in management at a very young age. So I was probably 24 when I got into management. So going into new locations in the bank as a manager, you're walking into people who've been there for a different amount of times, who have different positions, who have different experience, and you don't know how they're going to respond to you. Being new in that position and being a younger person, and it was hard to have those conversations, to go in and change things that needed to be changed, or disciplinary action. That's always hard to do with anybody. And so if it's someone who's older than you, who's been around longer, that's not an easy conversation to have either. So it's one of those things I had to keep reminding myself, I made it to this position. I've worked my way up. I've earned this position. I know what I'm doing and I know what's right and wrong. And the company trusts me to be here and to have these conversations. So I just had to, remind myself that I was trusted to do this and it's okay. And
I love it because even in your response to me, you were sharing things that you say to yourself.
yes.
To keep your head in the game and not allow yourself to return to that former place of lack of confidence. Right. But to really operate on the confidence foundation that you've been building in the course of your career. I think it's interesting. I hadn't thought about this when D'Anna and I were chatting before we started the episode. I was sharing with her that in today's culture, you don't hear as much anymore about people remaining in a career for 17 years,
right.
15, 16, 17, 20 plus years. But I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, wow, let me ask a question instead of saying it.
Okay.
When you think about the fact that you've been doing it for 17 years, I think about the number of people, they're in a career 3 years and they change. They go to a different place, 4 years and they change. They go to a different place. How has your longevity in the banking space contributed to your confidence?
Banking is a small world. I don't think people understand how many people you meet throughout your banking career who you're going to see later on down the road. And when I see people throughout my career who was there when I started at 18 years old as a teller, and then they see what I'm doing now, that is, they tell me I'm doing a great job. Like, oh, we see you out. My boss right now actually was my boss when I was a banker at 21.
Wow.
So it's just a full circle thing. But seeing people who I've seen just throughout the whole career who encouraged me along the way, and I've had many mentors throughout the way or throughout the journey as well. So just having those people come and tell me that they see what I'm doing and that they're proud of me, that helps.
That's awesome. And, I'm thinking too that you're remaining in that space, and every year you gain more knowledge, you gain more connections, you further hone your relational skills.
Yep.
And, and it's, in a sense, you're able to find your place and grow from that. I just think there's so much value to that. I never really thought about how people are impacted with changing, whether it's changing careers or changing companies would be the way to say it, and what disruption that's bringing to their confidence or their ability. And that's something that I think we just don't see as much of that hanging out in a profession for a lengthy period of time. Maybe in teaching. But even that, people are leaving teaching.
Yes, there are so many teachers who've left recently and they start a new path, business owners, or join something else completely different.
Yes.
So it's happening a lot.
Yeah. So I think that's just interesting, and I'm appreciative of that. Now, I want to ask you about Leadership McKinney.
Okay.
Because for those watching, you've seen over the last few weeks that I have interviewed several of my Leadership McKinney classmates, and that it's a program through the Chamber of Commerce, and we're all developing as leaders. I would love for you to share what about Leadership McKinney made you want to apply to be part of it, because we had to go through a process to be accepted. So I want to know, what was it for you that made you want to be part of Leadership McKinney?
Yeah. And it was my second time to apply. I applied one time and I didn't make it in. But they said you're doing the right thing, so apply again in the future, and I'm sure you will make it. So one of the main things was the relationships, because I have 2 coworkers who were in class of 2024.
Okay.
Which is not the greatest class ever, like 2025. And
it's a whole inside thing.
And they just talked about the friendships that they had. And you hear it from everyone who's an alumni.
Class. Yeah.
And it seems special. I really want to try it. So that was the main part of it. And then just learning more about McKinney. I grew up in Allen, and I lived there my whole life until I moved to McKinney in 2020. So We work, we live, and we play in McKinney. This is all we do. So learning more about the community and then having those friendships is really what it was for me.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, and, I'm just thinking that learning more about McKinney and connecting that to the relationships that you're working to develop and the value of that, the value that brings to your relationships. I love that. All right. So let's do some fun little things here. All right. So what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
Oh, we stay busy. I love to travel. So
Ooh,
the quality time with my family is great. We're always busy, but traveling's my thing.
I love it. What's been the most exotic place you've visited?
The most exotic place, it's Macedonia.
Really?
Yeah, not a lot of Americans have gone there. So,
Okay.
so I went there for a wedding. That was my first trip to Europe. And then this year we did Greece in May.
Okay, where did you go in Greece?
We went to Crete, Santorini, Naxos, and Athens.
Oh my word! In 2022, I had earned a company trip.
Okay.
And so we were in Athens for a whole week.
Okay.
And we popped over to Santorini.
Okay.
And then we did Corinth, which was
Okay.
I mean, I would go back to Greece in a heartbeat.
I loved it. It was beautiful.
Oh my word. It was
so
so cool. Okay, so you love travel.
Yes.
All right, super fun. Now, within McKinney, what is like your favorite place to go for live music?
We don't really do a lot of live music.
Okay.
We don't.
Fred and I have gone to that new outdoor amphitheater that's there at Hub 121 at Alma and Alma and 121.
Yes.
We went to a concert there, which was kind of cool.
Okay.
Where that's concerned, and Cadillac Pizza Pub has got some really good live music too.
Yeah.
But I was just curious, so that I wanted to know if you enjoyed or where you enjoyed. Okay, so date night with your husband. What's your favorite place for date night?
We try to mix it up. So we don't have we have a go-to place, but I wouldn't say it's a date night.
Okay.
So we go to the pub in McKinney. That's like our go-to place.
Love it.
And it's like the Cheers there. So
where everyone knows your name.
Everyone knows us.
I love
and so that's usually where we end up. But when we do date nights, we try to switch it up and go to different places throughout the city. So it just kind of depends on our mood and what we want to go try.
That is awesome. So we've learned you love to travel. Macedonia.
Yes.
I was not expecting you to say that. I'm all about Greece.
Yes.
I'll have to tell Fred about Macedonia. Not necessarily live music, but you like going into a variety of places in McKinney. Okay, so I want you to another fun question, or maybe it's not a fun question.
Okay.
10 years into the future. All right, so I want you to think 10 years into your future self, all right? What is something that you want to have achieved in the next 10 years?
We want to be business owners, and we want to have our dream home on land. So that is the plan.
Love it.
The business owner part is my husband's job, though. That's what he's got to figure out. He's the brains.
I love that. I love that. So a business owner and a dream home on land. Okay, real quickly, what makes it a dream home?
Having our own land, pretty much, and a pool. We need a pool. We need a patio. And my husband needs his man cave.
I love it.
Yeah, just something that's comfortable. I love to have a comfy home where people feel welcome to come in. So just having our space, our own little paradise.
Now, since it's going to be on land, have you identified where this land might be, or do you already own it?
We don't own it yet.
Okay.
We're looking, but my husband, he does work in Dallas, so it's hard because we want to go more north, but then finding something that's not a beating for his drive.
Yes.
So he only drives every third day, so he can handle it. But trying to find something.
Still, you're trying to take that into consideration because we're only growing.
Exactly.
Which means the traffic will be growing.
Right.
So, yes, I love it. I love knowing more about you and about your story. You know, I have a passion for thinking because my heart and I truly believe that our thinking does matter. So I ask every guest on my show, why do you believe it's important to cultivate thinking that matters? What would you say?
I think it's important because it promotes personal growth and it helps us to be intentional with everything in our lives, with conversations, with relationships that we have, with the decisions we make. We need to be intentional with that. So I think that that's important.
I love that. So personal growth and intentionality. Excellent. Before I close us out, tell the viewers how they can learn more about Valliance Bank and to connect with you there.
Okay. So you can go to Valliance.bank to look at our website. I'm on LinkedIn as well. It's D'Anna Paty. So it's D''Anna. Don't know why my parents did that to me. And then you can email me at dpaty, Paty, at v.bank.
V.bank. That's
V.bank.
easy. The V.bank
Yes.
is nice.
But don't do the v.bank.com. That won't work. Just v.bank.
It's interesting. You know, I never knew that .bank was a thing.
Yeah.
So there you have it. I'm like, I had no clue. Well, I want to encourage those of you who have heard D'Anna today that you would be encouraged to get out of your head.
Yes.
Right? To speak words of life to yourself, over yourself, to recognize that you can make determined choices for developing a career, even though your life took a turn that was not what you necessarily had anticipated, and that you cultivate thinking that matters so that you can engage in the personal growth that's going to matter, the intentionality that's going to matter, because I truly, truly believe that when you cultivate thinking that matters, you can live a life